Well, what is up, Trailblazers? It's me, Grant Allen here, one of the co-founders of the Jasper County Trails Club, and I'm here today with a good friend of mine, Jeff Boer, who is a fellow Trails Club member, and we're talking today about the trail that we're trying to build in Jasper County. Specifically, we'd love to start by connecting the towns of DeMott and Wheatfield. And Jeff, how long would you say you've been using your legs to get around?
Probably most of my life. Most of my life.
Of course, but all jokes aside, we actually want to kind of talk through what are some of the thoughts that we have for connecting and having the connectivity that walking paths would mean for families like yours.
So yeah, that connectivity is just so huge. I think a lot of this goes to us living in a rural area. Things tend to be really spread out. So you think about DeMott, you think about Wheatfield. We have schools in between, we have gas stations in between, but there's nothing connecting those except these narrow county roads or really busy, state highways and things like that. So having paths and things for us to use to get to different places without having to use vehicles would be a really beneficial thing for our community.
Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many kids I know that live across the street from the high school, live across the street from the middle school, and they don't walk to school because there's no safe way to get there.
Even just crossing the highway is so difficult.
It gets nuts. I totally feel that. Do you think having something nearby, close to your home, would influence your family and other families?
Absolutely. My son just got a new bike a couple weekends ago, and I've seen it renew just his passion for wanting to get out and ride. But what I've seen is he's so limited in where he can ride. We live in town, but even in town, we live in a subdivision. But you can only go so far in a subdivision, right? And he's in 7th grade, and we feel nervous about sending him out on the county roads to go ride his bike. He'd love to be able to go do it. He mows grass for different people around the town. He'd love to ride his bike to be able to do some of those things, but we're just limited in where we can send him.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because our county is so safe. We have a great county. We would feel super comfortable sending ourselves, our kids, to destinations, to school, to the library, to the grocery store. They just have no way to get there without something like this, something like a trail that actually connects them. And so, Jeff, you work in the area, and would having a nice long trail that goes through various neighborhoods and terrain, have you seen the benefit that a trail like that would bring to a community like this?
So I work in Winamac, Indiana, and in Winamac they have the Panhandle Pathway that was put in a few years ago. There's a lot of work that went into that, and I've just seen some pretty cool impacts in the community there. Just specifically the events that they're able to plan around having that trail. It's just a really good community builder for a small town like that, and I think that the DeMott Wheatfield area could really do a lot of the same thing and kind of bring people in and plan events around having that trail and using that trail.
Oh my gosh, yeah, what a great opportunity to bring the community together. Even as our community is experiencing growth, we're anticipating more growth in the future. And what a great way to not isolate newcomers or make old timers feel like they're left out. What a great way to bring people together. But have you ever heard, speaking of getting around and stuff, have you ever heard of the Safe Routes to Schools program?
I've read a little bit about that, and I think there'd be a huge benefit to being able to develop that in our community. Again, when you talk about being spread out, having a high school in one town, a middle school and intermediate school sitting in between, and then elementary schools on the far ends of those. There's really no safe routes for the kids. There are no safe routes for the kids to take to get between their schools and to get to the schools from the towns that they live in. So being able to develop this trail to give them that option, again, like Grant talked about, even kids that live across from school, it's really difficult to find that safe path to get there without getting on the bus or having your parents drop you off. So I think this would just provide so many more opportunities for for kids to get to school safely and efficiently.
Oh yeah, that's right in the middle of the crosshairs of the goals of the Jasper County Trails Club, is connecting those towns, and so many schools are just right along where we would want to be putting a path. And Jeff, what have you enjoyed about being an active pioneer in this project specifically?
Man, pioneer it really means kind of going first. So I think it hasn't been an easy thing to try to get into. When I'm coming to these meetings, so often my kids are saying, "You're going to another trails meeting?" It's what do you guys do at those meetings? Don't you have this figured out yet? But it just takes a lot of time and a lot of planning. But I think it's been so cool to see first the group, the team, come together and kind of get to know each other and rally around this shared goal and the shared vision. And then I think as it's continued, it's been cool to see how we're starting to get more and more support in the community for it. People are starting to talk about it. We're getting things on social media. So we're kind of at that really grassroots starting stage, and it's just really cool to be a part of and see this thing start to develop.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and that's what this podcast is about. Like, if you want to help us get that word out, like, I know it sounds like overused and cliche, but like, be sure to like, subscribe, share this video with people. Let them know that Jasper County Trails Club is trying to build trails in Jasper County to connect DeMott and Wheatfield together, to connect the schools together, to make it so that we have safe places where we can travel and go. And Jeff, lastly, why do you think it's important that we prepare for this right now?
Man, I think the DeMott Wheatfield area is just in a huge growth stage right now. So, we're still considered far enough south that we're considered rural living. So, I think a lot of people still desire that feel, but want the opportunity to be able to work in more urban areas, whether it's up more in the region, in Chicago, and we provide that. We're close to I-65. There's a lot of different places you can commute to for work while still getting that rural feeling for living. So as we continue to grow here, the sooner that we can implement some of these things and get this pathway in place, the better off we're going to be, because the longer we wait, it's just going to get more and more difficult to find space to put this pathway. So that's why it's important that we do this now and that we don't wait.
Awesome. Man, Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time to invest in the Jasper County Trails Club, to share with our audience your thoughts on the trail. And guys, all you trailblazers out there, I just want to encourage you guys, keep exploring.